If you're a founder or CEO and you're working hard, doing everything you were told to do, and you're still feeling financially stuck or unsafe, then FEM was built for you. You're not broken. You're not bad with money. You're just under pressure and underprotected. So here's the truth. Most people aren't bad with money. They're just trying to make financial decisions inside of systems that were never designed to protect them. So they keep earning more, doing more, pushing harder, and somehow still feel behind. That's not an income problem. That's a sequencing problem, a systems problem. And FEM is built on one core principle: protection comes first, profit comes second. Because growth without protection doesn't create freedom, it creates fragility. And FEM is not just accounting, bookkeeping, and taxes. FEM uses FEMFlow, which is a financial operating system, one that works with your nervous system and helps you to stop living in survival mode and start building real protection. So your money can finally support you instead of stressing you out. You don't have to figure this out alone, and you don't have to guess your way forward, because financial protection, security, and independence are your birthright, and FEM is here to help you reclaim them. So welcome to the FEMolution podcast.
Urgency feels productive. That's why it's dangerous, because urgency feels like movement. It feels like focus, like you're doing something about the problem. And most people never question it. They accept urgency as part of life, part of business, part of being responsible. But urgency is not neutral. And until we name that, we can't understand why so many financial decisions fail to create relief, even when people are doing everything right. Because here's the truth that most systems never acknowledge, okay? Urgency changes how the nervous system processes information. Because when urgency enters the system, time stops feeling like a resource and it starts feeling like a threat. And when time is perceived as a threat, the goal is no longer choice. The goal becomes relief. And this is the moment where decision making quietly shifts. Not because someone is careless, not because they lack discipline, not because they don't know better, but because pressure narrows perception. So your options collapse and the body starts prioritizing whatever will make the discomfort stop the fastest. So urgency produces compliance. Because under pressure, people don't evaluate, they respond. They move towards whatever is loudest, closest, the most immediate. And this is how people end up making decisions that don't actually align with their long term goals, even when they know better. You can see this everywhere. Founders saying yes to clients they know are misaligned because revenue feels urgent. Discounting their offers because something feels better than nothing, right? hiring too fast, firing too fast, launching before the structure is even ready, and abandoning systems the moment they feel slow. Not because the system doesn't work, but because urgency doesn't tolerate containment. Containment requires pause, sequencing, asking what actually needs to be protected first. And urgency does not like that question because urgency wants speed, reaction, resolution. It doesn't want structure. It wants you to be asking, how do I make the most money the fastest? And that's where most people get confused. They think urgency is motivating them, right? They think it's what makes them high performing. They think that urgency is the proof that they care. But urgency trains the nervous system to treat every single moment like it's an emergency. And a system that runs on emergency conditions is not a high performance system. It's not a sustainable one. It's a fragile one. And if your financial system requires urgency to function, then urgency becomes the operating condition. And operating conditions shape our behavior. If urgency is required for action, then calm starts to feel unsafe. Slowness feels irresponsible. Intentionality feels risky. You start believing that if you're not under pressure, something must be wrong. That's why some people struggle to relax even when things are technically fine. Why paying a bill doesn't actually create peace. Why closing a big month still feels unsafe. Because the system never actually settles. It just moves from one urgent moment to the next. And over time, urgency becomes identity. I'm the one who handles it. I thrive under pressure. I get things done when it matters. But pressure is not performance. Pressure is compression. And compression limits vision. Think about it. Tunnel vision, right? We all get it. When the nervous system is bracing, then long-term thinking gets deprioritized. Your discernment narrows. The trade-offs of the decisions you're making get ignored because you're only focused on the here and now. So money decisions stop being strategic and they become reactive. That's when you see patterns like undercharging because you need cash now, overspending because you'll figure it out later, and saying yes when your capacity is already stretched to the max. Avoiding your numbers because looking feels overwhelming, not because you're irresponsible, no, but because urgency does not allow the brain to operate at full intelligence. You're not behind. You're just underprotected. Because urgency hijacks discernment. And FEMFlow treats urgency as a signal, not a command. Signals inform structure. Commands override it. Urgency tells us where protection is missing, where the structure needs reinforcement, where the system is asking the body to compensate. And that distinction matters. Because when urgency is treated as a command, people react. But when urgency is treated as information, systems get redesigned. And FEMFlow does not teach people to push through urgency. It removes the conditions that create it. Urgency doesn't disappear when life gets easier, okay? It just disappears when systems get safer, when your survival is secured, when stability is built, when your capacity is protected, and when your savings actually creates optionality. Then urgency stops being the default state. So here's what happens when urgency is reduced at a structural level, okay? Money stops yelling, demanding your attention, right? Time stops chasing you. It's no longer the enemy. Decisions slow down, not because you're stuck, but because you're no longer being hunted. The fight or flight isn't running the show anymore. Your nervous system isn't bracing. So you can think clearly again. You can make decisions that consider your present and your future, not just this moment. And then people start to say things like, man, I can think again. I'm not rushing everything. I don't feel like every decision is life or death. Not because nothing ever goes wrong, but because wrong no longer equals catastrophe. Urgency trains compliance. Safety, protection, right, restores choice. And choice is what allows money to become directional instead of reactive. That's the shift that FEMFlow is designed to create. And this is also why urgency is so difficult to let go of, because urgency makes things feel necessary. It creates the illusion that everything matters equally. And stepping out of urgency can feel like abandoning responsibility, even when you're actually creating stability. But responsibility that requires constant pressure is not sustainable. It burns people out. It degrades their decision quality. And it turns money into a source of threat instead of support. FEMFlow does not motivate urgency. It contains it. Because containment is what allows clarity to exist under pressure. Now, let me say something clearly, okay? Because people love to throw numbers around like math alone tells the whole story. But numbers without capacity are how people burn out quietly, right? A system that looks better on paper can still destroy the person running it. Think about it like this. You're being taught that 1,000 clients paying you $100 a month is better than 5 clients paying you $5,000 a month. More clients, more volume, more demand, but that does not automatically mean better. Because if your system cannot hold it, it is not growth, it is exposure. And this is exactly where discipline gets misunderstood. Because honestly, if we look at the math alone on that, right? 1,000 clients paying you $100 a month. That's $100,000 a month. 5 clients paying you $5,000 a month. That's only $25,000 a month. So the 1,000 clients look better on paper. But the 5 clients are better for capacity, especially if you are the only one in your business. Can you handle 1,000 clients without burning out? When do you sleep? When do you eat? When do you take a break? So more volume does not automatically mean better, especially not if it's taking you past your capacity. But next week, you know what? Next week, we're going to talk about it. All right. We're going to talk about why discipline fails when your capacity isn't protected first. Because I feel like this is a whole nother conversation. Okay. So if this episode helped you see how urgency has been quietly shaping your financial decisions in general, right? And I say quietly because once you're used to something, you stop noticing it. And there is nothing wrong with you. You're not bad with money. You're not irresponsible. You're not behind. Urgency just lies. It tells you it's your fault, that you didn't move fast enough, that you didn't decide quickly enough, that you didn't push hard enough. But the problem was never speed, it was structure. So make sure you follow the podcast, okay? Subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications because every single Tuesday, like clockwork, there's a new episode. And we're building this differently, okay? So until next week, thank you for watching. Bye.